getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So Nuoff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed more and forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot have fun. Yeah, and it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back once again to Season 6 of the Almost Pro Championship, off the back of a very wet and wild race a week ago when we took to Mexico City. Oh, wow, that was a double T. Interesting. We'll try that again. When we went to Mexico City, it was an interesting interesting race. Of course, the first ever win for the man that took to the second, second Aston Martin in the form of Owen Boldero. He did a fantastic job, it must be said, at taking his debut victory off the back of a sensational win. Sensational stuff from him indeed. When we come into today, though, we head to Interlagos. Race number 12 of this championship sees us take to one of the most famous, most infamous circuits in Formula 1. I have just realised, by the way, that's why I've been a little bit distracted. It's because I've somehow managed to wind myself into a race seat for this session, so I do apologise if the intro has been a little bit wacky. I'm sat in the cockpit of a Red Bull. We'll get into that in a second. Let's move on, shall we, as quickly as we possibly can. Coming into this weekend then, as we move ourselves over into the game session. I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. That is probably the poorest start to a broadcast I think I've ever had, purely because I've somehow managed to mess that up. I don't know how, but we don't question it. We move on. We move forward. It's fine. Let's take a look as to how things are racking up in the championships then, shall we? Just before we can sort of mess more things up, we'll head over to how things are looking in the championship. Lewis Smith at the moment sits atop after a questionable weekend for both him and Ethan Shackleton. The gap in the championship now only 13 points with 3 races to go. Jordi Lansing is there in P3, not doing too bad of a job, it must be said. Only, by the way, 7 points ahead of Carl Stewart-Woodard, who's had a couple of issues last 2 weeks, but he's there in P4. Andrea Chenkovan only joined us at the midpoint of this season. He's there in P4, or P5, I should say. Again, it's a shaky day. P5. He's looking very, very good as well. And, of course, off the back of a run of podiums, that win that he got at Silverstone as well. Oliver Milner, the reigning champion, there in 6th ahead of Thijs Moosbergen, who won't be joining us this evening, hence why I've just been able to fill his Red Bull seat, funnily enough. Drew Bliss ahead of Adam Watson, and then Connor Stewart-Woodard as well to round off the field. Then we move ourselves on to the teams. It's Ferrari atop Mercedes in that battle for the Constructors' Championship. Only 31 points separate them, and if anything goes amiss for Ferrari, who seem to have been impenetrable the last couple of weeks, well, Mercedes could well reel themselves back into contention. Aston Martin in that fight with Red Bull for P3 as well, 212 to 202, only 10 points separating the pair of them, with McLaren, AlphaTauri and Williams the last point scoring teams. Alpine, Alfa Romeo and Haas are yet to score because, well, they're yet to have a driver join them. Let's take a look as to how things are racking up then in qualifying. I have just had a message from Kyle Stewart-Woodard, of course, who is out there on track at the moment. He is... He just asked if we need a restart. We don't need a restart. We'll be fine. I just will retire as soon as physically possible, essentially, when it comes to the when it comes to the race, which is fine. It's fine. Things happen. It's all good. We'll ignore it. We'll crop this little bit, or I can just stop the stream and restart it, and then it never happened. But we won't do that. We'll acknowledge the mistake, which is me, of course. And let's head out to some on-track action, shall we? Krypton Wild, of course, betterly known out on circuit as Connor Stewart-Woodard. His fact, of course, is the fact that he's brother to Kyle Stewart-Woodard. They've had a couple of tussles the last couple of weeks, let's put it that way. Of course, with Connor Stewart-Woodard basically driving into the side of his teammate, not his teammate, his brother. Effectively the same thing, you'd think, but evidently not. At Kota, let's see what he can do on his first lap. That goes to P3. However, Owen Boldero, his sensational run there in Aston Martin. Pole position a week ago, pole position at Singapore a couple of weeks ago, took his maiden victory when we took to Mexico City, or City as I like to briefly mention it. He is there at the moment, 6 tenths clear of Jordi Lansing in P2. That is a pretty decent lap time to put down, just to sort of stake the claim at the top. But how long will it last? How much improvement can be made over the course of the session? Lewis Smith, what on earth has happened there for the championship leader? We've had some issue with one of the Williams of Sonny Leonard, who's taken to the track. Of course, in place of Owen Boldero at Williams, who, of course, has now jumped into the Aston Martin. So that is the new Williams of Leonard joining us for this race, and unfortunately causing a little bit of a problem there with Lewis Smith, but he's been given the 5-place grid penalty nonetheless. And Lewis Smith, that has completely ruined his first run of the session then for the championship leader. Where is Ethan Shackleton? He's not even exited the pit lane yet, so all good. And have just been given the forecast here. Sunny skies here in Sao Paulo for round number 12 of season 6. Can't get over just how poor that intro was. I've got to be honest. It's astonishing. I really just need to just get better, really, don't I? More than anything. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's just me self-loathing at the moment. But as the Grinch said, you know, you need to schedule some time for it. It's perfectly healthy. Carl Streetwooded, by the way, has just put himself into P4, just over a second off the quickest lap time set by Owen Baldera in P1. So great stuff there from the Aston Martin driver, who's not yet inside the top 10 in the championship because he's only been here for one full round of this season. Hopefully his internet can hold up, and hopefully he can score some decent results. Sonny Leonard at the moment running in P8. Because, well, he's not been able to put a time in, obviously, because of the shenanigans that happened with Lewis Smith a couple of moments ago. And that's that Sweeney 19 guy. I wonder what he's going to be able to do when we get into the race. Obviously not much. I mean, because I'm bad enough on a wheel, let alone when I've just got a controller. Maybe next season. Maybe next season, if I don't get rehired. We'll see. I don't know. Who knows? But, by the way, just while I can remember, do make sure that if you are interested in joining for Season 7, there are a week left on sign-ups if you would like to get yourself involved. I have got a nice little graphic to be showing at the end while we're doing our driver interviews and things. So if you do want to get yourself involved, join the Discord, get involved. Season 7 is around the corner. Should be looking to start within the first month or so of the new game coming up, which, well, depends if you're buying it or not. I won't say too much, just in case. But yeah, no, it's not looking good. It is not looking good. With the handling model and things, basically with how you just go full lock and instantly get 1,000,000% grip. I don't know how it works, but, well, it somehow does. It's certainly something, to put it that way. Looking at those still on a lap, there is Sonny Leonard at the moment, P4, looking fairly decent. Toby Marshall goes to P1, which of course is Wongswat Ravisi with the second Williams. Impressed with a decent qualifying result last week, of course, at Mexico City, and now the Williams driver tops the timing table, the first driver in to the 107s. But Owen Baldero on an outlap at the moment, waiting, charging up the battery. That seemed like a little bit late to be putting his foot down to go for a run. I've got to be honest. But nonetheless, he's going to give it a go. He's got 3/10 to go and gain to beat Ravisi up to pole position. Provisionally, of course, still half the session to go. Nice wide line going into the center S. And you flick left, you flick right, and you're building up that power as you run your way through the very long turn 3. And then the DRS gets opened as you run your way towards turn number 4. Again, it's all about maximising the track on the right-hand side. As you can see, the Aston Martin all the way to the white line, just to open up the corner as much as possible. Through 5 and up towards this very tricky double right-hander, but, well, you would be if you hadn't invalidated your lap through Destino del Lago, which, of course, is turn 4. And he is not going to be completing this lap. Andrea Jenkovan at the moment P3 as the Croatian driver tries to eke out some more lap time in his Ferrari. His results recently, I don't know exactly what the rundown is from race to race, but they have been magnificent. I don't think he's been off the podium since his win at Silverstone. Or at the very least, it's only been 1 or so races. Can't exactly remember off the top of my head, but he won, of course, in Silverstone. He's been on the podium a number of times. Consistently up there is Andrea Jenkovan, and is constantly impressing with how he gets the job done. Basically, assisting Ferrari to the top mantle at the moment in the Constructors' Championship, alongside this man right here, his teammate of Ethan Shackleton, champion not too long ago in Season 4, and is in the running for contention for that top spot this season. It's a hotly contested battle, though, between himself and Lewis Smith, who at the moment can only sit 6th place. Ethan Shackleton purple to the first sector. here he is running his way through the final sector, of course. He goes powerful to the middle one as well. Nicely done. As Ethan Shackleton accelerates his way towards the start-finish line to complete his first lap. Will it be the provisional pole position the timing sheets are trying to sell us across the line? And it's only third, 4/10 off. Wongsawat Reversi at the top of the standings as things stand. 8 minutes left to go in the session. Seven minutes and 27 seconds left on the clock as Owen Baldera goes quicker, but not quick enough to top Reversi at the top. Of course, for the purple lap for this session, and well, Williams could be well looking good to go to his second race and starting from pole position. And again, I will just have to extend some apologies because it seems that nothing's really going right for me today, which is fine, as I literally hit my microphone as that happens. I don't know how I managed that because it's a headset, but I'm just having one of those days, or one of those last 20 minutes it seems. Basically, I pressed circle by accident on my controller. Of course, I'm on PC, but I just plugged in my controller because it's so much easier. But I pressed circle, and it offered me to leave the session. I obviously said no, so why would I want to leave the session? Apparently that's reset the spectator option, and it's now obviously, as you can see, chucked me into Thijs Moosbergen's Red Bull. So now, what's going to happen, not only did I completely mess up the intro in the most sensationally bad way possible, not only because skill issue, but also because I was distracted that I'm in a Red Bull. It also means that we can't show the race start properly because I'm going to have to retire during the 5 red light period. I'm good at my job, okay? I'm an award-nominated commentator. I won the Gridfinder XL Gatto Commentary Challenge as well. And somehow I managed to do that whilst also still being this big of a muppet, it seems. I don't know. How I get work, it's beyond me, but it's fine. We'll move on, purely because there is still qualifying laps coming in, and it's a bit too late to go for a restart because it mess up all the tyre strategies and things like that, and too much of a headache purely for the broadcast. Purple to the final middle sector, I should say, for Wongsawat Reversi as he tries to cut the distance as much as possible. Now he goes across the line and goes quicker to a 1:07.809. For the Williams driver, who's looking mightily strong. His teammate Sonny Leonard as well sat pretty well actually in P6, so Williams could well be scoring some decent points. Lewis Smith not yet able to get a good run in. He sat there in P7 while his championship rival of Ethan Shackleton is up there in P3. Now that could well be fairly interesting. Of course, Lewis Smith forgetting to renew his Xbox Live last week. Couldn't qualify, started from the back of the grid, then struggled for pace in the race. Ethan Shackleton was able to chip a couple of points away at him. And then, of course, Lewis Smith DNF'd at the end of the race as well after contact with, I think it was Moosbergen in the end, wasn't it? One of the Red Bulls, I think. I'm not entirely sure. But nonetheless, he did DNF. Ethan Shackleton then finished P6, so only gained 8 or so points on it. But nonetheless, could this be 2 suboptimal starts heading into a race for Lewis Smith? If he doesn't sort it out soon, he's going to be running out of time to actually put in a good lap time. And that's why I always say that at the start of a session, you put your setup on, you go out, you do a lap. A lap. The emphasis is on the article. It's not the lap. It's not the lap that's going to get you pole position. It's not the perfect lap that's going to encapsulate everything you know about yourself as a driver. It's just a lap. Just a lap, just something to have to show at the end of the session, which means then you've got a solid foundation, right? You don't build a house by putting the ceiling on first. You lay down the foundation, then you put the walls up, then you do everything else, and then I don't know how a house gets built, but I can definitely tell you it doesn't start by putting the ceiling on first. Or you don't bake a cake by putting the icing on, because there's nothing to put the icing on, right? You've got to go out there, you've got to lay the foundation, and then build upon it. Then go and find more time. Then feel the confidence to go and push and push and push, because you've got that solid foundation underneath you that is going to be able to support you all the way. He's done that to an extent here with a P5 lap of a 108.5, and I mean, it's only, what, about a tenth and a half off Ethan Shackleton at this stage, but that was on an old set of tyres. Has he then got enough time to go back into the pit lane, put some more softs on, and then go again? I don't think so. Or at the very least, it's going to need to be a quick in lap and a quick out lap. It's going to be close. And that, all it's doing is just putting more and more and more and more pressure onto him that he doesn't need to have. Of course, part of it wasn't his fault with the contact with Sonny Leonard a little bit earlier on. That obviously did ruin that first part of the session, the first 4 or 5 minutes at the very least for him, which only left him with 12 or 13 left in the session to play with. But still, it's just adding more and more onto the endless pile that is a driver's mind in a championship battle. Hopefully he does have enough time to get going. There's his teammate blasting past him, reigning champion Oliver Milner. Across the line, what can he do as he pursues the top 7 in this session? Nicely done. As Owen Boldero out there on an out lap for his final run in this qualifying session. We have also, by the way, got Wongswat Reversi out on an out lap as well. He's looking strong to take his maiden pole position, unless Owen Boldero can put the lap in to go and beat him. What can the Mexico City race winner go and do? Across the line, braking really late for the center S, down to second gear, should really be third, but he nips it through the right, builds the traction through this long left at turn 3, DRS open on this back straight run, decent overtaking opportunity into turn 4 as well. Then you're spotting, I think in between the 100 and the 50 board, just about 75 mark or so, down to 4th, purple to the first sector, up the hill, carrying that momentum, slight lift, downshift to 6 to get that rotation. Then as you bring your way into the braking zone, it's pretty much as soon as the car is settled straight, that's when you slam on the anchors. Third, then you through the camber of this left, now up the hill towards turn 10, of course, where Alex Albon and Lewis Hamilton famously clashed in 2019. Then it's all about building up that traction once again, keeping your foot planted through the very, very long left-hander. Then you run your way into Junção at the back end of the circuit. Once again, putting your foot to the floor, building up that confidence on the traction, DRS open as early as you can, and then just shortening that distance as much as you can to the line, keeping it nice and tight. Is it provisional pole? It is a 107.718, less than a tenth of a second in it. But what is going on for this man right here? Wongswat Reversi is there in the Williams, has had pole position for the entirety of this qualifying, and it comes down to less than a second. A huge snap of oversteer and a mistake on his final run. What is the delta at the middle sector? It's still half a tenth up, but is that enough to topple Owen Boldero to a second consecutive pole position? He puts his foot down, DRS open. Who is going to be the driver that takes pole position for race 12 here at Sao Paulo? Across the line for Reversi, and it's not enough. Owen Boldero on pole position. Beautifully done, as the Aston Martin driver, well, anxiously anticipated the end of that session. In the end, that mistake, that oversteer on the exit of turn 10 was too much time lost for Reversi to take pole position. But what a race we've got in store. Chenkovan from Shackleton as well, the 2 Ferrari drivers in P3 and P4. Lewis Smith only 5th, but will be directly sort of alongside-ish Ethan Shackleton on that line. Of course, Shackleton will be the last of row 2. Lewis Smith will be the first of row 3. Owen Baldero then takes his 3rd pole position and his 2nd one in a row for Aston Martin. Wongsbat Reversi, the Thai driver, will join him on row 1 ahead of Andrea Chenkovan, and Ethan Shackleton, championship contender, ahead of championship leader Lewis Smith, who rounds off starts off row 3, rounds off the top 5. Jordi Lansing there in P6, ahead, of course, of Sonny Leonard, who will start this race from the back of the field with a 5-place grid penalty from 7th. Oliver Milner ahead of the 2 Stuart Woodards, who once again round off the top 10. Then comes me, but it won't be me. And then Adam Watson, Rastaclow, P12 for the McLaren driver. What a race we've got in store for us today. And yeah, Ethan Shackleton, as he says, I'm ahead of Adam Watson. I'm just that good. What can I say? Didn't even have to take to the session, and I'm not last. Beautiful stuff. It's amazing. It's remarkable. Basically, I'm just incredibly stupid. But we don't talk about that. That's fine. We'll ignore that. Have just been given word that Adam Watson crashed at the start of his hot lap, which is why he's now, behind me, basically. Hopefully, I can, restart, or not restart, but not have to start. What have I even got set up? Oh no! Should I do the formation lap, or should I retire? Let's do an onboard lap, shall we? With Zach Sweeney. Should we do that? Why not? Why not? Just to add that extra level of immersion to the broadcast, because I'm good like that. I care. I don't know. We're on the hards, by the way. That seems to be the optimal strategy. Seems to be very, very cold at the moment on track. As we'll give you the onboard lap, shall we? Hopefully, we don't go straight to the lights. That would be a little bit embarrassing. Am I even on manual? What are the controls? Oh wow! Big miss up. There we go. Okay. No, we're good. We're good. We're going to hold the clutch, we're going to wait, and it's go. Am I on manual? Yeah. Right, let's get the car up to temperature on this lap, please. No tracking the keys, well, so let's go through the wall. Okay, so into turn number 1, ladies and gents. We'll run your way through, so you go through the left, and then you're quickly onto the right. Look at the undulation change here as well. So you're going through the right, and then you're following it all the way around this left, which should be flat out come the race, and then there's the DRS line right there. You can see all the drivers here trying to get their tyres warmed up. We're ahead of 2 drivers, of course, with Adam Watson and Sonny Leonard lined up behind us. Of course, they won't be by the time they get to the grid. Then you can see into this left-hander here at turn 4 as it all backs up. Again, golden overtaking opportunity. Okay, late enough on the brakes, then you build up the throttle coming into turn 5, and then look at this inclination up towards turn number 6 and 7. Of course, this is going to be pretty much flat, nearly flat, just a little bit of a lift, then you're flicking it to the right, double apex, of course, then as soon as the car is straight, you're pretty much straight away onto the anchors, taking it nice and wide, pitching the car into the right, just to try and keep it as close to the right hand side as you can before you flick it through. Now, there's a bit of a decompression here at the apex, and then you have to build the power back up as you approach another golden overtaking opportunity, essentially just keeping it nice to the right. Similar to what Lewis Hamilton did on Alex Albon in 2019, but obviously not exactly what he did. Then again, it's building up the power, staying as close as you can to this curb without going too much onto it, because it can spit you out. Now, the eSports drivers like to use this little bit of grass here just to get that extra bit of rotation, and then as it tarmacs back up through Juncal, you can then actually open up the corner, get a bit of grip, and take a nice wide line, which opens up this back portion of the circuit. The DRS line is coming up. It's right about here. Then you'll open up the DRS as, oh goodness, I forgot you have to reform yourself onto the grid. We won't obviously do it properly, we'll get yourself on. Yeah, you have to form yourself up. And then that's a lap, ladies and gentlemen, of Interlagos. Let's see how well we can do this. We want to pitch ourselves up nicely. We did it all right. Now, how quickly can we retire from this race? We can't. So we are going to go to 5 red lights. and then it's lights out. We get underway here in Sao Paulo. We'll retire pretty much as soon as we can. Hope to not get in the way of anyone else, as we've absolutely fluffed it up. Owen Baldera then is able to take the lead of the race ahead of Wongsuat Ravisi, who is now tucked in behind. What is the gap going to be? Who's going to lead the race by the time they reach turn 4? The Aston Martin defends with all his might from pole position, but here comes the Williams looking to the outside. Ethan Shackleton under pressure from championship leader Lewis Smith, as well as he tries to pick his way through as they run their way now towards the middle sector, uphill towards this quick flick of a right-hander. It's Owen Baldero from Ravisi, Shackleton, then Smith, Andrea Chenkovan off the podium places and into P5. So nice stuff. Pretty calm, tentative race start for the most part. I really do hope that we don't effectively, well, that we didn't get in anyone's way when we obviously, well, when we retired, essentially. There is the predicted pit stop strategy: mediums to softs or hards to mediums. Seems that that was the one that we were meant to be on, the hard to medium strategy, but I think with cold tyre temps, it was mediums to softs. Owen Baldero leads lap 1, but in hot pursuit is Wongsuat Ravisi just in behind. Shackleton from Smith and Chenkovan down 2 places, losing out on the 2 championship rivals, of course, on lap 1. Then, of course, Sonny Leonard moves his way up 4 places, biggest mover of the opening lap. He's now trying to eye up Carl Stuart Woodard, looks to the left-hand side as he moves his way past, snakes his way through on the inside of turn 4, and is going to make this move stick as Carl Stuart Woodard, of course, backs out of that one. Oliver Milner as well trying to move his way past, but there's no gap there. Ethan Shackleton on the back of the Williams, but not quite close enough, heading into turn 10. Oh, sorry, that's not turn 10, that's turn 7. I think this one's turn 10, of course, up here, getting my corners mixed up as always. It's fine. It's one of those days. We have them. In a couple of weeks, I'll have Darragh Thacker alongside me, hopefully, in the commentary booth for the season finale when we take to Abu Dhabi. And he'll put me straight, don't worry. He's like my little big brother. Little in stature, but big because he's older than me. He's not actually my brother. We just share the same commentary father of Lewis McGlade. It's a process. Anyway, change for the lead on here potentially as we head away onto lap 3, because here comes Wongsuat Ravisi, fastest lap of the race, and the outside line swoops his way through, takes the lead of the race from Owen Baldero, who is going to launch a counter-attack almost immediately. They run their way through the center S, but it's a bit of a counter-attack here as well from Ethan Shackleton, who tries to apply the pressure. He's got the DRS as well. Who's going to be the one in second place by the time they reach turn 4? And it is going to go the way of Owen Baldero. Bit of a tank slapper, I think, more than anything, coming through the center S, and then lost a little bit of that momentum, tried to catch it, and that put him on the back foot and put him under pressure from, of course, Ethan Shackleton, as it's very close. Shackleton from Smith and Chenkovan just in behind as they all try and battle their way through here at Sao Paulo. But what a lap that was for Ravisi, just to pick his way through and find his way past Baldero after sensationally taking the majority of the session in qualifying, narrowly being beaten by Baldero, and it seems that the race pace is leaning the way of the Williams. Now, of course, let's take a quick look as to how people are looking on tyre strategy. Top 2 on hards, the 3 and 4 on mediums. Then it's hards down to Carl Stuart Woodard, Oliver Milner and Connor Stuart Woodard as well, taking on to the mediums, and Adam Watson on the hards also. So, interesting stuff taking place in terms of strategy. A split decision being made. So either we go hards or to softs, or mediums to softs. It all depends on the tyre deck, as Owen Baldero getting tantalisingly close to the lead of the race. How important is this DRS train going to be for the overarching narrative of the next 33 laps, or 32 and a half laps? Because they're all close. They're all running really nicely. Is it just a waiting game of getting to the pit stops? Are these hard compound runners just trying to stay ahead of the mediums for as long as possible, just to negate the advantage of being on that softer compound tyre? Or are the medium runners just biding their time, waiting as long as possible to obviously stretch those mediums out, but also just to strike on the top 2? Because Shackleton and Smith, they've got it all to lose in this championship, right? When it comes to Ravisi, who of course is Toby Marshall, Owen Baldero is Stad Body, they don't have as much to lose. They're racing for raced wins, right? I mean, everyone is, sure, as they fight for the top step at the moment, but no way through for the Aston Martin. Shackleton gets very, very close. But the top two are only racing for wins. They've not really got a championship to worry about. Whereas Shackleton and Smith, they need to be incredibly meticulous with where they place the car and how they finish, getting very, very close to the rear end of the Williams as well as Boldero, but not on this occasion. He's unable to find a way through. But a lot at stake for Season 6 Championship. Quick flick to the right then as they run their way through 6 and then into 7. The double apex, long right-hander as you run your way uphill. And a half look there actually from the Ferrari. As he was thinking about a move on the Aston Martin, but the top 5 then, as close as can be. Out of Jinkao, and Lewis Smith looks very close to Shackleton. We'll update the championship standings and have a look with how things are looking as soon as we get a quiet moment. But it seems that Shackleton could well be launching an attack on Owen Boldero heading into turn 1. 8th gear, we could go 3 wide as Boldero thinks about the send, and there's contact, and goodness me, Reversi has saved it. How has he managed to hang on to that one? It's caused carnage, it's caused chaos, and Ethan Shackleton moves his way up in a 2nd place. Boldero is washed out wide, and here comes Lewis Smith, but into the barrier goes the Aston Martin. Goodness me, safety car deployed as Lewis Smith narrowly moves his way in a 2nd. Ethan Shackleton somehow picked up the pieces and leads this race. But what has happened to Owen Boldero? How was he sent spearing off into the barrier? I'm going to call it again. I think that one's going to be ending up on social media. What on earth? Ladies and gentlemen, this might well be one of the most peculiar broadcasts, the most roller coaster broadcast I think I've ever been on. Purely because either I've had an issue or someone on track has had an issue. Now, I'm sure we'll see all about it. Apologies as I just click off once again because I accidentally clicked Discord and it came up with a small little text box thing and it annoyed me, so I had to get rid of it, but it's fine. We are under safety car conditions though. What is this going to do for the strategy of this race? Who's going to come in? Who's not going to come in? Owen Boldero coming in and blaming Lewis Smith for the attempted murder, or well, the succeeded murder of himself. In comes then Monserrat Reversi. Is this for tyres? Is this for damage? Was there any sustained in the conflict? 5-second penalty as Carl Stewart-Woodard? No. Now we can't blame anyone else on that. Last week there was contact with Lewis Smith as he was driven into the back of him. Week before that, it was a skill issue through Kota. But that time, where's his front wing gone as well? Oh, good. It's not looking good for him at all, is it? Where is Reversi? He goes back onto the mediums, of course, fresh, because everyone's going to bunch up. Now, I think that the Williams is going to be going from mediums to softs. That seems like the logical progression. Because that seems like he could probably take these for another 15 laps at least, and then go on to the softs to the end. Of course, now he's going to be on fresher tyres, and he'll be on softer tyres for longer in this race as well. The gap will close up. He's basically not taking any punishment for taking a pit stop apart from track position, which will be an issue because he has to fight his way through on Adam Watson and Connor Stewart-Woodard, Jordi Lansing and Cenkovan before he's back on the top 2. But I'm not really sure. We'll have to wait and see because, of course, Lewis Smith and Ethan Shackleton, who did start this race on the soft and medium compound, did decide to stay out, and now they've committed to it. They can't exactly come back into the pit lane purely because the track position they'll lose will mean that Reversi just had an absolute worldie of a strategy call. Also keeping a lookout in the Discord. Also have just seen that we've got Owen Boldero in with us for a quick chat. Owen, can you hear us?
I can hear you, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Well, I suppose what we could start with is just a quick chat about, obviously, your feelings coming into this race and then what on earth happened.
So I was quite confident coming into Brazil. It's a track I quite like. It might not be one I'm necessarily the fastest at, but I like it. And in regards to the incident, the start of the incident is my fault. I hit the back of the Williams in front of me, just out-braked myself. I just couldn't sync up with his braking, different braking timings, and then that caused obviously sort of a four wide, I think it was, coming out of turn 2, and then the Mercedes just was focused on the Ferrari in front, I think, came across me, and yeah, the contact sent me into the barrier.
An unfortunate one of that. Were you sort of confident then in your chances of winning? What was the strategy looking like? One of those drivers that started on the hards, what was the progression from that?
I was going to hold out and go to softs at the end. I know how long I can take the hards. I was going to do 24, 25 laps on the hards, and I was going to go to the softs at the end. But that was my progression on the strategy, and the hards were feeling quite good, actually. I was able to get the turn in. The Williams actually ahead of me probably was a little bit quicker in the first stint, I noticed. His acceleration coming out of corners was just a little bit sharper than mine was. So, yeah.
And obviously for those that are currently sort of changeable strategies now with the safety car coming out, a couple of people have gone on to mediums. Of course, the safety car came out on lap 6. That means they pit going on to lap 7. What do you think their idea is going to be? Obviously, for me in the commentary booth, I haven't got a Scooby. Are they then going to be trying to go from mediums, stretching them out, and going for softs at the end?
Yes, it's highly possible. I think it will be hard. I think you could do sort of 17, 18 laps on the mediums. You'd probably be on about, I'd say, probably about 65%. And then you go to softs for about 11 laps towards the end. I think that's probably what they're trying, but some probably don't have the bravery to do that. Some will probably do medium. Unless they started on the medium, then they will go medium, soft, probably.
Awesome stuff. Well, thank you very much for coming and have a chat with me mid-race.
It's all right.
Unfortunately, a little bit sooner than we'd have hoped, but pace is looking
It's
good.
a shame, but that's racing. It happens. It happens sometimes.
Exactly that. Well, we'll see you back in a week's time when we head to Qatar. Is that a circuit you're feeling confident about?
I like Qatar, yeah. Qatar is just it's a driver's circuit, let's put it that way.
Awesome stuff. Take care. We'll see you then.
You two, see you there.
Awesome stuff then. Owen Baldero, of course, was running quite nicely with the pace of course, race leader of Wongsbat Reversi, was the pole sitter as well, let's not forget, and the reigning race winner of a week ago at Sao Paulo. I did promise you all, we are going to take a quick look as to how things are racking up in the Drivers' Championship. It's Lewis Smith from Ethan Shackleton, separated by just 13 points at the top. As things stand, that gap is going to over half, with Ethan Shackleton taking 7 points out of Lewis Smith. What is on the cards for this race? It's been carnage, it's been chaos for the first 25% of it, and now we go back green once again. Safety car is in. Shackleton, the Season 4 champion, up against the fierce contender of Lewis Smith, who has up until this point seemed bulletproof, but a couple of inconsistencies, some mistakes, some desperation creeping in. Who is going to be the one to win this race? Who is then going to be the subsequent champion, as Ethan Shackleton puts his foot to the floor and sends us underway once again for green flag running here in Brazil. Yuri Lansing versus Andrea Chenkovan. The Red Bull trying to go the long way around through the center S, gets given the space by the Croatian, but no way through for the Flying Dutchman, as Chenkovan thwarts the attack off onto lap 10 of 36. Beautiful stuff as they all run their way towards turn number 4. A counter-attack potentially is on as Yuri Lansing gives it another go around the outside. Has he got the momentum? Doesn't have the grip, doesn't have the traction, and gets a little bit wayward as Chenkovan once again is able to hang on to P3. Tracking the progress as well of Wongsbat Reversi on some fresh medium tyres, as we were told, could well be going on to the softs, or even another set of mediums, of course, at the later portion in this race, but not making too much progress through the field as much as he would have liked. Getting stuck behind Adam Watson, but finally finds the gap to the inside, although the McLaren fights are hard. A little bit wayward there as well with Sonny Leonard. There's contact there. As goodness me, what on earth has happened there? I don't know if we can show that on YouTube if I've got to be honest. But anyway, there we go. Finally, some momentum is gaining for Wongsbat Reversi as he finds his way past Connor Stewart-Woodard and is through into 5th place. 1.7 up to the next car, of course, of Yuri Lansing, and he needs to be a part of that train before the DRS gets enabled, because If he's not, he runs the risk of being dropped behind. Ethan Shackleton, by the way, as we track his progress, is flying for this second phase of the race. Teetering on the edge of over a second, and Lewis Smith was partially outside of that DRS range, but not quite enough. As Lewis Smith is doing enough, as there goes Carl Stewart-Woodard. He's now onto some hard compound tyres, presumably, maybe, to the end, if he's able to stretch them. Owen Baldera was saying he was going to go 24, 25 laps on a set, as there we go, up the inside. Same too for the Williams of Sonny Leonard, who very strategically follows him through on Connor Stewart-Woodard. So there we go, the rivals and brothers, more importantly, clashing once more. Andrea Chenkovan on the back of Lewis Smith. DRS will be enabled, and there you can see the eagle-eyed viewers on his steering wheel. Overtake is enabled. Extra 160 brake horsepower thanks to the hybrid deployment unit. Andrea Chenkovan is looking to seal the deal and make it a Ferrari 1-2. Now this would bring the championship down to just 3 points heading into the final 2 rounds if things stay as they are. DRS is enabled this lap, and Shackleton is outside of that range. Chenkovan, does he play the team game? Does he slow Lewis Smith? Does he slow Rovesi down as much as he can? Or is he purely out there to go and get the victory away from his teammate? Or are they in it for the long haul? Are the Ferrari boys of already a monstrous gap, 31 points in the Constructors' Championship, as a small mistake there from Andrea Chenkovan. Now, look who's on the scene already. Wongswat Rovesi is there in contention with second and third, of course, of Andrea Chenkovan and Lewis Smith. Now, this happened a lot sooner than I was predicting. But if he's then able to take more points away from Lewis Smith, that would tie things up in the championship. But he's not quite close enough to go for a move. Of course, Lewis Smith getting the DRS on Chenkovan, as well as Rovesi getting the DRS on Lewis Smith, so it negates that advantage, but the slipstream still is available as Lewis Smith goes wide through turn 3, invites the door open for the Williams, who now with the DRS is able to blast his way past the championship leader. Or, well, is he going to be? This time in 26 laps time. Oh my goodness me, what has happened there to Lewis Smith? He's gone wide through turn 4. The pace just isn't there for the championship leader. He's falling and falling away. And he needs to hope that Chenkovan or Rovesi wins this race, because you get rewarded heavily for winning in an FIA point system race, right? Some point systems say do 20 points for a win, 19 for P2, which means there's only a 1 point differential. Thinking about the move there was Rovesi. Oh my goodness me, no way. Lewis Smith has gone round. He's dropped the car. And the championship leader, 13 points coming into this race, was hopeful to maybe contend with Shackleton, but has dropped the car completely of his own volition and is now down in P7 and on the back foot. Chenkovan versus Rovesi, the mighty battle between two debut drivers in Season 6 continues on, as here comes Rovesi. ERS light flashing for Chenkovan as he defends into turn 4. The Ferrari hasn't got anything to thwart off the attack of the Williams, who flies his way around the outside into second. Now the pursuit is on for Ethan Shackleton. But back to my point when it comes to point systems and things. Say if you're in a point system that's got 20, 19, 18, 17, blah, 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 blah. There's only a 1 point differential for position, which means you're only ever gaining 1 point advantage per position you gain. Whereas in F1 or any FIA point system, it's 25, 18, 15, 12. So from third to second, you gain 3 points. But from second to first, you gain 7. And that's a huge reward for winning. So if Rovesi is able to win this race, sure, it won't be Lewis Smith taking the top step, but that instantly takes away a 7 point advantage for Ethan Shackleton. And that's what Lewis Smith needs to hope for. Right now, he's on the back foot as Carl Stewart-Woodard has once again found himself off. We always seem to catch him when he's had an incident, and never usually when he's actually done a decent job. It's a shame, actually, but here's the fight for the lead. Ethan Shackleton under pressure as Wongswat Rovesi contends for the race lead. Took the gamble to pit under the safety car compared to those in the similar vein. and is now on the back of provisional championship leader of Ethan Shackleton. Couple that with the fact that Lewis Smith could well be getting a penalty for the incident with Owen Baldero should he wish to report it. That could also put salt in the wound, but here goes the move straight down the inside of turn 7. Not enough for the Williams to seal it this time by, as Shackleton is able to hold through, but the fresher rubber there for the Williams puts the power down into the lead of the race for race 12 of the APC Season 6. Sensational stuff. And Montserrat Reversi, his pace is dangerous. He seems like he is setting benchmark after benchmark here in Brazil. An impressive debut last week at Mexico City. And now this sort of pace. What is the tyre strategy going to be looking like though? Because of course these mediums are going to be wearing off for both Shackleton and of course Lewis Smith, especially for Lewis Smith, but Chenkovan on the hards could be going wrong. And there are so many possibilities this race could go. Lansing versus Sonny Leonard as well, by the way. The Red Bull, my teammate, big up the Red Bull, is running in 4th place as well. For those just joining us, if you are just joining us, or those that have decided to skip this far ahead in the broadcast and don't know of all of the problems that have ensued this broadcast, well, go back and, or don't go back and watch them, please, for my own sake, my own pride and ego that doesn't get completely shattered. Please don't go back and watch them. As there's the look once again, bit of a twitch, a little bit of netcode as well, just to contend with it, as they have some latency problems between Jordi Lansing and Sonny Leonard, but all is good. But yeah, basically I joined the race accidentally, did the formation lap with the boys, and decided to line up on the grid, and then quickly retired as soon as I could. I completely probably had the worst intro of my commentary career, and it's been going up, down, left, right, this way, that way, forwards and back, pretty much for the entire broadcast. But it's fine, because we move on. We have these days, and we don't bring them up ever again. Promise, please, please, don't rub this in my face, guys. It will ruin me. Sonny Leonard, Jordi Lansing, swap places once again. As the Red Bull trying to send the move to the outside, gets squeezed out by the Williams, and that puts Jordi Lansing down 2 places behind both the Mercedes once the Dutchman rejoins the circuit. So Oliver Milner, Lewis Smith back up into 5th and 6th respectively. So Lewis Smith will be gaining 8 points this race. Ethan Shackleton, 18 points for this race. The gap, as things stand, will be 3 points in the championship with 2 races to go. Who is going to be the Season 6 Almost Pro champion? Will it be the driver in his 2nd season in this championship, a driver who's boasted many a race win so far this season, or will it be the returning champion in Season 4 of Ethan Shackleton? The suspense is there, the anticipation is there, and we still have half of this race yet actually to decide what's going to happen. Andrea Chenkovan with DRS, with Slipstream, on the back of his teammate, suspended in no man's land really between these two, because I don't think Chenkovan wants to fight with Ethan Shackleton, but none of them have the pace to go forward and get after Montserrat Reversi. But they're also not losing time back to Sonny Leonard, so why battle? I think they're just going to run in formation and fly together, or prance together, I suppose. Prance and horse, ride together maybe. Carl Stuart-Woodard, by the way, gets himself a 3-second time penalty. Lewis Smith is under pressure from Jordi Lansing. Is the Red Bull versus the Mercedes. When have we seen that before? Here at Brazil, we're going into turn 4. Jordi Lansing is there, but not really much of an opportunity heading through this corner. As, oh my goodness me, a huge little switch of oversteer as he tries to pitch the car into the left. All is good. I think that was just a small issue, just carrying a bit too much speed, trying to get on the power. You saw on the formation lap with me just how sensitive the throttle response can be. Andrea Chenkovan, as in comes Ethan Shackleton for his first pit stop of this race, off the mediums. What tyres is he going to be heading himself onto? As Andrea Chenkovan continues on the hards. Who's gone off? I think that might well. Oh my goodness me. Carl Stuart-Woodard. And the final proper corner of this track just do not go well. Thought for a second that they're going to bring out another safety car, but of course it wouldn't. There was no debris on the track or anything like that. Shackleton rejoins the race. He's on the hards then to the end. now. Jordi Lansing, by the way, moves his way past Lewis Smith. That's going to be taking more points away from Smith and giving them back to Ethan Shackleton if it was to stay as is. Neither of them really got a lot of energy recovery system to fall back on either. So, again, the same mistake there is happening. I think it is literally just putting on the power, just for that small blip, that small little acceleration zone between the right into the left, just enough to step up the car. But obviously, let's take a quick update with the tyre change and things. At the moment, Reversi has been on those mediums for 13 laps, so he's over halfway through their life cycle. Ethan Shackleton is on some fresh hards. Now, of course, once they warm up, they should be fairly competent. Will they be quicker than the mediums? And will it be quick enough to get an undercut? As Jordi Lansing and Lewis Smith both come into the pit lane. Of course, Jordi will be going on to mediums. Lewis Smith will be going on to hards. But if Reversi goes on to the softs, or even another set of mediums, will Shackleton have the pace? Of course, he'll have the longevity. He'll easily make it to the end of the race. Will he have the legs to stay ahead of Reversi? Now, this is where strategy gets interesting, because it was a gamble under safety car for both drivers, both parties, to stay out and commit to their respective branches in this race. Of course, now Reversi goes for fresher, softer tyres for longer, but had to take that penalty, of course, of pitting under the safety car. Shackleton now gets these fresh, hard compound tyres and was looking good. But I don't see a scenario where Reversi doesn't win this race. Unless, of course, he makes a mistake or, God forbid, there's another safety car or something like that. So I'm not sure. And this is where the experience of Dareth Acker will be coming in very handy in 2 weeks' time. I can't pick him up anymore. He's a fantastic commentator, and I absolutely love working with him. He is, yeah, he's just awesome, right? It's fine. I can't pick him up more. And eventually, we'll tell the story of the commentary father. Basically, it's Lewis McGlade, and he's just adopted us and made us commentators, essentially. And we met. Now, he doesn't live too far from me, actually. But we met from Lewis McGlade, who lives on the other side of the country, talking about a job that we do at home. And we met for the first time in Seston, and ever since then, he's just been awesome. We've been helping each other get work and grow as commentators and giving each other advice, because we have two different styles, but there's a lot of crossover, and the other extremes that we don't cross over, we can really help each other sort of mould and help each other take to that next step. And he is just an awesome commentator, and of course he's fantastically knowledgeable about the F1 game, because he's more recent with it. Jordi Lansing, though, recently finding his way past Alan Watson as he blitzes his way into the top 5. Nicely done on some fresh medium tyres, but of course Watson still owes us a pit stop. Lewis Smith tries to get the up and under. That was a very fidgety move. Tried to go to the outside, figured that was blocked, then tucked back into the inside. Bit of a lock-up through Juncao as he gives the position back to the McLaren in the most awkward way possible. So Lewis Smith is not having a fun day out there today at all. Sonny Leonard is there in P9 as he activates the DRS and finds his way past Connor Stewart-Woodard, and upper place as Lewis Smith launches their counter-attack and finds his way back in a 6. At the moment, it's 12 and 8, so only a 4-point gain for Ethan Shackleton, but don't forget that Chenkovan and Oliver Milner both still have to come back into the pit lane. Gaps are feeling a little bit spread at the moment, but of course, don't fear, because there's still strategy to unfold. Of course, this man right here wants about Reversi on some 16-lap-old mediums. Has to come back into the pit lane. He'll be going on to either another set of mediums or another set of softs. Is Shackleton close enough that should Reversi pit, he's then able to find a way past. Sonny Leonard, by the way, trying to attack Adam Watson as Lewis Smith gets himself a 3-second time penalty for warnings. That is not good. If you are a driver that wants to win a championship, and already Ethan Shackleton is in contention for the race lead, or at least in the discussion. Carl Woodard sets the fast lap of the race. Meanwhile, Sonny Leonard finds his way past the McLaren of Adam Watson. Nicely done. But the pace right now from Shackleton is good. He's closing in on Milner, and it seems as though he is closing in on Reversi as well. The question is, what is the time delta loss for coming into the pit lane and changing tyres? When is Wongswap Reversi going to come in, and how long can he hold off? I think he's going to go medium. Purely because I don't think these mediums have got long left in them. And at the very least, if he goes on to another set of mediums, he has the confidence to push as hard as he can. He doesn't have to worry so much about conservation. Unlike if he went onto softs, yes, they'd be quick, but he would also have to manage them ever so slightly. DRS is open for Ethan Shackleton as he finds his way past Oliver Milner and back onto the podium. So this will be P2 at the very least for Shackleton, as Andrea Chenkovan is stretching these hards very long, I think doing the strategy that Boldero was telling us about, taking the hards long and then stretching them out to go onto the softs. Again, the only problem with that is, do the softs have enough oomph in them for long enough? And then also, do you have enough time in terms of laps to gain back that advantage on some fresh softs? Because Chenkovan, granted he's going to go onto softs, but in doing so, he's going to come out at the very least 6 or 7 seconds behind Shackleton. And even more, nearly 14 behind Wongswap Reversi. Do they have enough time? And are they quick enough to close that gap? Because that's always the risk that you take when you take a harder tyre longer into the race. Or he's hopeful there's going to be a safety car. A safety car right now, and I'd back my money for Chenkovan to win this race. If there isn't one, though, which likely there could not be, unless Carl drops it through the final corner again, but that's fine. He could well finish P3. I'd say that's realistic. So again, that's that swing and roundabout that racing brings, is that one small deviation and instantly you've got a different, entirely different outcome that this race could go. A million different possibilities just from one small fork in the road. That could happen, that could not happen. Red pill, blue pill sort of thing. Andrea Chenkovan, of course, is going to be hoping that he's going to swallow whichever pill brings out a safety car right now that he can pit. Here comes, by the way, the race leader for the best part of this race into the pit lane. Same to Andrea Chenkovan. So race against time is on then for Ethan Shackleton. What tyres is the Williams going to take? Is it softs? Is it medium? What rule are they? They're softs. He's going soft. So, same too for Chenkovan as well. So 11 laps left to go in this race. And they've gone softs. Now, I think, oh my goodness me, it's not even a contest. Ethan Shackleton is going to be nowhere near Wongswap Reversi. We can see him, but there is no way he's going to be able to catch him. So Wongswap Reversi then is favourite to win this race by an absolute landslide, provided those softs make it to the end. Andrea Chenkovan, a podium at minimum, because obviously Milner, I do not think he's stretching those hards to the end. If he does, fair play. And to be fair, if I was in this position, it might well be worth a go. Purely because he's got a decent gap back to those behind him. They've all got time penalties. Maybe it is worth giving it a go. Because if he pits, he instantly is going to lose all those positions no matter what. If he stays out, there's a chance he might not. Or at the very least, lose less of them. But Chenkovan, got to get these soft tyres bedded in. Of course, get that initial scrub layer off. And then, once they're bedded in, once they're up to temperature, he's then going to be able to fight his way forward. Past Oliver Milner. That's step one. Now it's 5 seconds up to Ethan Shackleton. Now, is he going to take P2 away from his teammate? Because is there a chance that he wins this race? We'll have to track the progress to sort of the race leader. So right now, it's 9 seconds. Right, we'll leave it at that. It's 9 seconds with 9 laps left to go. right now it's actually grown to 9.2 with Ravisi on the softs, but again, that is subject to change. I mean, it's just ebb and flow. I think Chenkovan is matching Ravisi's pace at best. I don't think there's going to be enough for him to go and win, unless, of course, Ravisi makes a mistake. Finds his way past Oliver Milner, who of course is into the pit lane. So he is going to be coming in. A bit unrealistic to sort of stretch those hards to the end, I suppose, with the risk of punches and things like that. But he's onto the softs to the end, understandably. Lap 28 of 36, and the gap at the front continues to open. Let's take a lap, actually, on board with Ravisi. Good timing as he crosses the timing line. Now, this is going to be a bit more insightful than my one. Down to 4th gear, interestingly enough. I think that's more for traction than anything, but seems to be the theme with F1 games recently is that you can take a much higher gear through a lot of the corners and just sort of float the car through, keep the revs up and build up that power. In towards turn 4, again looking between the 150 board and down to 4. Chucks the car through, builds the power up again. These Formula 1 cars have got insane levels of downforce. Looking for the 50, that's pretty much your turning point. Down to 6th gear as you then build up the power back up the hill. Braking pretty much where those tyre marks start, because the rubber gets laid down by people locking up as such. That's where you begin to brake. Again, 3rd gear just to ease the traction down as you approach turn 10. And again, your turning in point, you're basically following those very dark rubber lines on the circuit. 4th, 5th, 6th gear as you climb through the rev range in towards Junção here at the back end of the circuit, the final proper corner, and the most important corner on the circuit, arguably, because it leads you onto the longest flat-out run on this sector. DRS open if you want to qualify lap, or within a second the car ahead, and then up to 8th gear across the line, and that's a 1:10.336 for Ravisi, which isn't anywhere near his quickest lap time, but it doesn't need to be. It's a comfortable pace that he can run fairly consistently. Yellow flags, by the way, through the final sector. That is going to be going the way of Yuri Lansing, who's slow. So he's had some issues. I think similar to what we've been seeing from Stuart Woodard as well, with just, again, a bit too much power on the exit as he rejoins the circuit. Still in 5th place, mind you. And interestingly, Lewis Smith is now up into 4th place, so has managed to recover. Ethan Shackleton will be getting 18 points. Lewis Smith will then be getting 12 for P4. Let's have a quick look as to the fastest lap as well. Oh, it does go to Andrea Chenkovan, so not to Ethan Shackleton. So, 18 points, 12 points. Quick look at the championship. There you can see it's 13 coming into this race, which means they'll be leaving it on 7, which coincidentally, if Shackleton wins the next race, he'll go into the final round as the joint championship leader. Now that is a big if. But Chenkovan, does he pass his teammate? Yellow flags. Oh, Connor Stuart Woodard is out of the session, and a late race safety car. Now this gets interesting. Connor Stuart Woodard has had an issue off the exit of turn 4, just when I thought this race was potentially over and Chenkovan was maybe going to take some points away from Shackleton or whatever. The safety car comes out and effectively allows everyone free passage to come in and take some soft tyres. The question is, what does this man do? What does Ravisi do? Does he come? I mean, he's got the gap to pit. He's got 12 seconds back. He's got the gap to pit. So similar to what Owen Baldero did last week at Mexico when the safety car came out, a similar point as well. He'll come in, take some fresh tyres, and should be good to go. I think Ethan Shackleton will come in. Question is, will Chenkovan come in as well? Because, of course, Ferrari would be forced to double stack. But they have got the back gap to Lewis Smith, so they should be fine. But Jordi Lansing takes tyres. Oliver Milner, tyres. Sonny Leonard, tyres. Adam Watson, tyres. Carl Stewart-Woodard, all get tyres. In comes one goes about Ravisi as he puts a lap on Adam Watson in the pit lane. But of course he will get that back and will be able to do the lap around. But another set of softs. Oh, now this gets interesting. Now this gets spicy. Who has penalties? Let's take a quick look. Penalties. 3 seconds for Lewis Smith. 6 for Jordi Lansing. None for Oliver Milner. And 3 for Sonny Leonard. And for Carl Stewart-Woodard as well. So, the top 4, or the top 3, have no penalties. As Bird Mylander in the safety car picks up. Now the Williams, the race leader, as out comes Shackleton, out comes Chenkovan. So the second chance is here for Lewis Smith. I don't think it's going to be enough to win because of that 3 seconds that he's got. But it could still be enough to turn the tide and maybe get some points back on Ethan Shackleton. Or at the very least limit the damage a little bit more. Or it could go the complete opposite direction and a similar issue happens where he then goes and DNFs right at the end of the race. Jordi Lansing gets involved, Oliver Milner gets involved, that penalty drops him down a couple of places if he's unable to get out of 3 seconds of, say, his teammate of Oliver Milner. Now this race has been blown wide open. When will the safety car come in, of course? That's the question. I think it will be next lap. Taking a quick moment of reflection, really, more than anything, just to sort of process the race as far. We've had a lot happen. We've had, this is the second safety car. We've had 2 DNFs, Conor Stewart-Woodard and Owen Baldero. Owen Baldero happened very early on in the race with contact with Lewis Smith, who, again, could still well get a penalty, and that could affect the tide of the championship. Whether that inflicts this race or next race at Qatar, which I think could well be a very qualifying, important track with how sort of technical it is. It very much is a bike racing circuit more than it is a Formula 1 racing circuit, in my opinion. Never actually commentated on Qatar. But it is, don't get me wrong, it looks like a good circuit. I just don't think for racing it's the best. So, if anything influences the next round, Lewis Smith could well be in trouble. Is safety car going to be in this lap? Or is it going to be one more lap, actually? Oh. Are the lights on or the lights off? No, the lights are on. I think it is literally just Carl Stewart-Woodard and Adam Watson that we're waiting for at the back end of the field to line themselves up again. And it will be in this lap. So we'll get 2 laps to the end lane. Lap 35 and lap 36. So, Montserrat Ravisi is only racing for a win. He's not got a championship to worry about. He's not even worried about the Constructors' Championship because realistically Williams aren't going to be winning it. He is purely here for himself. Ethan Shackleton has got a championship to worry about. But those extra 7 points between P2 and P1 could be vital in a championship this close. And Lewis Smith, only 2 cars behind him. What role will Andrei Chenkovan play in this? Will he go for the win, or will he help back Lewis Smith up as to maximise the punishment of that 3-second penalty and just allow Shackleton to have free passage to have at Montserrat Ravisi, who has absolutely been on fire this whole race. Safety car is in this lap. Montserrat Ravisi controls the pace. Soon as that safety car heads into the pit lane, he is free to punch it whenever he wishes. 2 laps left of race 12 of the Almost Pro Championship, and it comes down to this. He's bolted and he's caught Shackleton off guard. The Williams racing driver of Montserrat Ravisi, who has dominated this race thus far, kicks us off for 2 more laps of racing, already over a second gap. Lewis Smith launches the attack on Andrei Chenkovan and sends the move for 3rd. Chenkovan sees it coming and combats the Mercedes through, but he's pushed him wide, and Smith and Chenkovan tangle. They lose the place to Jordi Lansing, who's now on the back of Ethan Shackleton. Lewis Smith, Oliver Milner as well in the background, as well as he moves his way past Andrei Chenkovan, who's tumbled down the order off the back of this safety car restart. It's absolute carnage to kick things off here for the final 2 laps here at Sao Paulo. Beautiful stuff, though, it must be said, for Montserrat Ravisi, who's able to all but secure this victory essentially over a 1-second lead on Ethan Shackleton, who the best at the moment is going to be 2nd, unless he can conjure up something special to close in on Montserrat Ravisi. There's not enough time for DRS to be enabled. 1 more lap left to go, and Shackleton desperately needs this victory. Lewis Smith needs all the points he can get, and as things stand, will be finishing, I think, 5th place behind Oliver Milner and Andrei Chenkovan. Ethan Shackleton, though, has dumped a ton of battery. 1 more tour of the Interlagos Grand Prix circuit. The Brazilian Grand Prix comes down to this, and Shackleton and his championship hopes could well ride on this move. Lewis Smith knows that, and he needs to fight his way through as many drivers as possible. He needs to fight and get away from as many as possible with that 3-second penalty. But look at the gap at the front. Could it be a first victory for Montserrat Ravisi? Could it be a championship winning victory for Ethan Shackleton? Could this be that pivot that Ethan Shackleton needs to get after? He's eyeing up the move this where and everywhere, but the opportunities are wearing thin. Lap 36 of 36, and 7 points hang in the balance in a championship that could well be decided in 2 weeks' time when we head to Abu Dhabi. It's the run to the line. Is it going to be enough for Shackleton to secure the victory? There's issues further back, but the run to the line, the checkered flag waves, and it's a sensational first dominant victory for Montserrat Ravisi of Williams Racing here in Interlagos. Ethan Shackleton brings it home in P2, crucially 8 points ahead of Lewis Smith, who rounds off in 5th. What a race that was. What a victory that was for Ravisi to hang off in the balance versus Ethan Shackleton. How close was that? As Sonny Leonard gets the Driver of the Day award for his first showing here at Interlagos. But what a race, what a finish. And Chenkovan is going to be fuming. I think there were some issues for Jordi Lansing further back as well, who momentarily was on the podium, but in the end wasn't enough. But there he is, celebrating after narrowly missing out on his first pole position. Takes victory, does the Thai driver. Ethan Shackleton, 18 points to his name in 2nd, ahead of his teammate of Andrei Chenkovan as Ferrari continue their surge towards the title. Oliver Milner ahead of his teammate of Lewis Smith, who only scores 10. The championship down to just 5 points. Sonny Leonard P6 on debut, not bad going for him at all. Carl Stuart-Woodard moves himself up 1 position into P7 ahead of Adam Watson, who started in P11, up to 8th. Jordi Lansing dropped all the way down to P9, only scoring 2 points this race ahead of Connor Stuart-Woodard and Owen Baldero, who are the DNFs for this race. Ladies and gentlemen, what a sensational round this was. We'll move our way over to this screen right here, just so we can sort of prep ourselves for the drivers' interviews, should anyone want to maybe come and have a quick chat with us or whatever. But nonetheless, that was something to behold. We'll just hold off and wait if we want to see anyone, if they pop themselves in. But just a reminder of where we've been so far this season. We started it off, of course, back in March in Bahrain. We took to Saudi Arabia, China, Canada, Austria for the first sprint round of 2. And then we jumped in as JPB on the 9th of April when we headed to the home of British Motorsport. Spa then kick-started off after a week's break. We then took to the Netherlands, Singapore a couple of weeks ago, when, of course, Owen Baldero took his maiden pole position. But no race for him, and he couldn't score any points. COTA was round 10. Last week was Mexico City. I can say it properly, contrast to what happened during the intro. Today, of course, in Sao Paulo. In a week's time, we'll head to Lusail in Qatar before rounding things off on the 11th of June at the UAE. I'm not going to announce the Season 7 calendar as of yet. We'll hold that off for a couple of weeks just to, build up some suspense. But 1 week left to join us for Season 6. If you want to get yourself involved for the final 2 rounds, please do get yourself out there, get yourself in the Discord. Make sure you're filling up the grid for the final 2 rounds. So if anyone out there, any drivers, any viewers, know anyone that wants to take that first step into league racing, by all means, get yourself involved. Plenty of seats to fill. And then, of course, you will be able to almost guarantee yourself a seat for Season 7, which will open later in the year. Link in bio, both on the JPB Broadcasting and, of course, on the APC League Twitch if you want to jump yourself into the Discord and get involved. I am seeing the first driver interview. We'll head to the safe bet, the driver that always comes in and has a chat with us when it comes to driver interviews at the end. Kyle, welcome in. Talk us through your race. It was a race.
I'll be honest. Like, if you would wanted to speak to me 10 minutes ago, I probably wouldn't have came in because I probably would have had to not swear. But I Yeah, you know what? It was started so well. So I got blocked in qualifying. That happens. It's not the end of the world. So I didn't get my last lap in. Got in the race. I felt great. I was in a good rhythm. I had the DRS train. I was just going with all the fast boys. I thought it was looking really good. And then, I don't know what happened really. Like, it just the hards. I really regret going onto the hard tires. You saw my pace on the mediums. That was pretty good. The strategy was meant to be medium soft, but because of the safety car, I had to go on the hards, and I just struggled for grip. And it's weird. I wasn't doing anything differently. I was doing the normal driving lines, but yeah, I span out of that final corner a good 2-3 times, and yeah, I bet you did. I bet you did. You never seem to miss those, but I regret going on the hards. I thought I'd have a good grip on them, but the grip wasn't there, so it's my fault. Well, not really my fault. It is my fault. I chose the tires, but yeah, if the safety car hadn't happened and we started doing normal strategy, I feel quite confident I would have been up in the midfield there.
It's fine. I'm in no position to talk about skill issues after the broadcast here today, so it's fine. I won't rinse you. I'll save that for a week's time when we head to Qatar. Owen Baldero is confident. How are you feeling?
Qatar, yeah. No, it's obviously we've only raced there once. It's a relatively new track, but I can't remember my result from last season actually, but I remember feeling quite confident with the track. So yeah, feeling quite good. It's still quite new for a lot of people, so more confident than I am here.
Well, of course, I don't think that's going to be too difficult to top. And then, of course, the week later when we head to Abu Dhabi, I mean, when it comes to a championship charge, you're not too far off the back of Jordi Lansing, who, of course, didn't do too well here today. I mean, what's your aspiration? Are you going for that top 3?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to. Yeah, I think it was P4 before I finished last season, and I got 2 positions in Abu Dhabi because it was very close, and I managed to outscore the 2 people ahead of me. So it's happened before. I mean, I seem to be having really really bad luck the last few races. I'm not blaming my wheel. My wheel's brilliant, my new wheel. But yeah, I seem to be having a bit of bad luck. So hopefully it turns around for the last 2 races. And yeah, a top 3 would be my best ever championship finishing position. So that would be lovely.
Awesome stuff. We'll talk about season 7 a little bit later on. Maybe next week we can start sprinkling in some suspense, and then at the final round we can really push for some more drivers to have a sensational season, because what I've seen of season 6 has been absolutely fantastic. Carl, thank you for joining us. Before we let you go, any shout outs you want to give?
Just the usual. Shout out to yourself. Actually, one of my friends, Fiona, actually appears to be watching today. I hope she stayed for the interview, so she is still here. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I'll see you next week. So much appreciated.
Awesome stuff. Take care. We'll see you there.
Thanks. See you later, mate.
Awesome then. Carl Stewart coming in to have his usual chat with us, as he does when it comes to the end of the race. It's always good to get a little bit of insight, of course, from him. Doesn't seem to be as we'll have anyone else jumping in with us. First of all, I want to start with an apology from my end. It's not been up to the usual standard, and I hope you will accept. I hope for the most part it has still been entertaining, and I hope, of course, it will be pushing nicely forward when we head to Qatar and then into Abu Dhabi. Now we can move on to a more positive note. I want to thank you guys out there for watching along, both on the JP Broadcasting Network and, of course, on the APC League Twitch. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is, on the respective platforms. Stay tuned, of course, not only for this championship, but all of sim racing that happens here on JPB. So much is happening, so many exciting things, and if you want to dip your toe into the wider world of sim racing, those that maybe aren't looking at F124 like, yeah, have my money, and you might want to start investing elsewhere, have a look on JP Broadcasting, because there is plenty that might tickle your fancy, and you might next find your next step in your sim racing career or whatever. My name has been Zach Sweeney. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude our coverage here today. Like I say, in a week's time, we'll head to the Middle East for the final 2 rounds of Season 6. In the meantime, take care and a very warm goodbye.